You're the only guys I've watched who said we made mistakes.
Yeah.
And we learned from these mistakes. Everyone else don't, I'm making $400,000 or $500,000 a year. I jumped on a plane from the East Coast here because you guys answered the question.
I want every single question you have, good, bad, or indifferent, because I really want other people out there that are watching to get the truth. That's the most important thing for me, is the truth. We aren't gurus, and we don't have mentorships that we're selling packages. We're just operators. Hey everyone, welcome to this super exciting video. I'm so stoked to bring you Louis!
I'm from New York City, been in real estate investing for quite some time now. One video led to another video, and then I came across these guys, and they really piqued my interest. Tracked them down, found them, jumped on a plane, and here we are checking out their property.
So this is a great opportunity for everybody that's watching to watch Louis bust our balls. Like, I'm saying, bro, give us the hard questions. I want every single question you have, good, bad, or indifferent, because I really want other people out there that are watching to get the truth. That's the most important thing for me, is the truth.
No money, nothing. Yeah. We don't need any of that. Yeah. Everything's easy to do.
Yeah, easy and free.
Are you aware of any current jurisdictional issues, code that will prevent this in this area?
So we're strategically picking houses that have the 5 and 6 and 7 per people ordinances. Now this one is 3 technically. So we're going to navigate that and be careful, and then we're going to add the ADU. So again, we're going to use this as a different strategy. We may do Section 8, we may do midterms. I got some workers up at TSMC that they need a whole house. So it wouldn't even be a pad split. It would be, corporate housing. Mm-hmm. So we've got different strategies to solve that problem.
Well, what we want is about non-relatives?
Unrelated.
Yeah, how does that work?
Numbers of people that can live in a house that are unrelated. But again, who do you know who's related and unrelated?
And how do you consider what's related?
How do you police that?
Exactly.
If this was a fly-by-night business, then how is it possible that a company like PadSplit is just one example of a company that is growing like wildfire, right? Their heat map, and I've been tracking it for 2 years. Last week, they opened up Sacramento, Nashville, and Portland. How would that be possible if they were losing the battle on the county and city level? They're clearly not, right? We all know there's an affordability crisis in this country.
Oh, no, that part, yeah. So my question with PadSplit is, do you consult them about the properties you buy beforehand? So you do, all right, so once you have the properties, then you call them up and they'll see if they're willing to take you on.
No, so you can open a PadSplit anywhere in any city. They're not gonna stop you. So when you look at the heat map only indicates historical data.
Well, let me give you an example. Let's just say I would never do it. Let's say I want to do one in New York City.
Huh.
I know the laws are there, this would be a nightmare.
They have them in New York.
Neighbors called and they say, hey, there's a dumpster. So the dumpster triggered and they're like, hey, what's that? And I was like, well, we had squatters, so we had to throw all their crap out. So the city inspector came and took a look and they're like, okay, you're not doing anything, plumbing, no walls or any of that crazy added stuff. So we're gonna have to have them inspect the bathrooms because we did new tile and they wanna see the backer board behind it. Okay, no problem. So we're gonna submit a permit and get that knocked out. We will still have to do that, and we're within that 30-day window because we still got work to do. We still gotta get furniture, the last mile stuff, and then get that inspected, and then we're off to the races. So 160 all in, again, reducing out that cash flow and after your net. So we're looking at about 12, 13% cash on cash. Now, obviously-
That's after the mortgage is paid?
Yeah. So if we can get double occupancy or we can juice up the ADU, obviously
What's
that just
ADU?
Additional dwelling unit.
Okay.
You can have external ones where they're not attached or attached.
Yeah.
This is attached.
So when we look at properties, when we see a big lot, we're like, hey, could we do a detached casita, if you will? But yeah, that's pretty much.
So if everything's paid, what is your monthly profit?
It's going to be, I think we said it was like 1,800 on this one.
1,800 on this one, yeah.
Divide that out by your overall capital expenditure.
I know these are all estimates, but
Yeah.
that factors everything in.
Yeah, that's all of these numbers, the room, the PM, the pad split fee, all that stuff. We're going to cash flow, give or take, 1,800.
So one thing to consider about the way that these numbers look is I always make sure that I'm going ultra conservative so that this number isn't a bullshit number, right? So meaning, like if you look at the CapEx here, for example, at $700 a month, that's on the high end, right? It could be far less than that. Especially in the wintertime, it's gonna be less than that, right? The PM is approximate, right? When we calculate the final net of the monthly cash flow, this ADU could be going for far higher.
Okay, no, I get that.
Right? And so the numbers I try to bring in here are the lowest of the low so that this number starts to become either too low or very realistic so that you're not ever in a shock situation going, what happened at 12%? Now we're at 3%. I don't want
These
that
numbers
then.
include property tax
Everything.
and the insurance. Now,
Everything.
But
All
now,
of it.
one of your videos, possible, and I'm not sure with this house or not, you told me what possible balloon payments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This one has one.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. If you look at this one, there was a lot of equity in this property. And so we ended up giving them on this one 25 grand right off the top,
And how much is the equity in the house? 63?
close to, yeah, 60 grand of equity.
Okay.
So we gave them 25 down and then we did 30 on a seller carry, right? But we had the squatters. We had all kinds of bad issues that came up and we had to make repairs. We had to get security cameras. We had to do a lot of things to figure that portion out. So they ended up dropping 7,500 off of that seller carry before close. So we negotiated because there was problems, right? So that's something we did here. Now, in order to do this deal without the seller carry, nobody wants to do that deal because no one wants to pay the seller 60 grand or 75 grand, the agent their 10 grand, and then the acquisition company that brings the deal has to make a fee. So now you're over 100 grand on the deal. Whereas this particular deal, the closing was 63,154. That's reasonable.
And you got 60 months to pay that off.
Yeah, interest free. Now, here's how you can handle it. There's a couple of ways. Number one, you just pay it out of pocket. We decide as a team, whatever the equity splits are, this is what's going to be owed at the end of 5 years. Great, that's option one. Option two, you can save it, like we said, allocate it from day one so that when you hit the 5 years, the money will be already in the bank account. Number three, you can refi at the end of 5 years out into a DSCR loan, especially if the rates are better. In 5 years, we already know this neighborhood, appreciation through the roof. Yeah. So you can refinance the entire project and have that refi from the bank, pay that.
Okay.
So there's three ways to handle that, and I'm sure there's more.
Of course, you're also benefiting from the equity gains in market appreciation.
There's three angles on that as well. So number one, you've got cash flow, right? Net cash flow on day one upon completion of the project, so cash flow. Then you've got your appreciation year over year. We just looked on the historical data in Tempe. We can figure out pretty clearly what in 5 to 10 years, what the appreciation play was. Number three, depreciation. You can now depreciate through your taxes and save on your W-2 job. You can reduce that amount by the amount of depreciation you get on the real estate. So there's three huge wins there right off the top, right? So one thing I like to think of just mentally, if you just put your money in the S&P, right? You're at 8 to 12%. You don't do anything, you just, like, I'm gonna put my money, I'm not gonna do anything. Well, you're gonna make that 8, 12%, but then what happens in 5 years when you wanna sell your stock? Well, you sell it and then it's over. You got your gain. In this situation, we're showing 12% is probably the worst possible end, and it'll go up from there. But you get the depreciation, you get the cash flow, you get the equity that runs with the appreciation. And then when all your money's back, Lewis, you got all your money back and you're in the deal. So that's infinite return. So that's, for those reasons, it's a slam dunk when you look at it from that perspective. What other product is out there that you can make that kind of money on and get the depreciation?